Hello, welcome to the Wisdom for Life podcast. Monday, December 27th. I want to give you something for your children, something that you can teach them. It's pretty amazing to me so many times when you look at truths in the Bible to see where they come from and to see how many times people don't understand them or don't get them. For instance, Proverbs chapter 31. When you think of Proverbs 31, what do you think of? I've asked dozens of people this question. It always comes back, oh, the virtuous woman. Okay, great. Virtuous woman is a wonderful thing to teach and to have and to do, but that is not the teaching of Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31, the teaching of it is Solomon's mother teaching her son, the main things that he needed to know. And so she teaches him, son, don't give your strength to women. Son, alcohol is not for kings. It's not for you. Son, you use your masculinity. You stand up. You speak up for the poor, the needy, and the disabled. And son, here's what you look for in a woman to marry. So there's nothing wrong with using Proverbs 31 to teach women how to be a good woman. Obviously, they need it, okay? Okay, I'm joking. I'm laughing. All right, okay, smile, please. Smile. All right, good. So that's a joke. But there's nothing wrong with using it for that, but that's not the context. So when you don't use the context, we miss it. How many mothers sit down and teach their sons, son, this is what you look for in a woman, okay? So important to be able to do that. Also, when you look and see, this to me is the most shocking thing that Solomon taught his son. Solomon taught his son about childrearing. The verses I'm going to give you today, most of you have heard them all. The problem is I've never one time heard them in context. The context is Solomon is teaching this to his son. This is not just somebody teaching us how to rear our children. Yes, you can use it for that. But the context of this is Solomon is teaching his son childrearing. How many times do we do that? And why did he do that? Two reasons. Number one, he did it because, son, I want to explain to you why I'm doing what I'm doing. I need to discipline you, but I need you to understand why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it because I hate you and I'm mad at you. I'm doing it because I love you and God tells me to. That's gigantic. Make sure you teach your children these principles and let them know this is why you are doing what you're doing. Second thing, why do you teach this? Because your children are going to rear your grandchildren. How important is that? I love the phrase, boy, it keeps us from being proud about our kids. You never know how good a job you did rearing your children until you see your children rear your grandchildren. Hey, today my kids are doing good, but boy, I don't know how good I did until I watched them raise my children. How much of what I instilled in my children did they catch for them to teach to their children? That's big. That's important. And so that's what we need to do. Solomon taught his son how to rear his own children, which would have been Solomon's grandchildren, which is so important for us to be able to do. So we got 7 lessons. These are 7 things you can teach your children this week about childrearing. Number 1, train up a child. Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. People debate that verse all the time. Does it mean that if I train them right, they won't go away, or if they do go away, they will come back? We can debate that, but the big thing of the verse is to train them. Train them. Train them is not to teach them. Train them is not to discipline them. Training is something totally different, and most people do not do that. Train is to teach and form by practice. Train is to teach and form by practice. Having them doing the same thing over and over and over and over. You look at a coach, we're training them. They got practice, same things over and over and over. Music, same things over and over and over. Training a child, training a dog, training a horse, we do the same things over and over. Children, so many times we don't. If our kids do something wrong, we yell at them, we scream at them, or we just spank them instead of training them. Hey, if the kid leaves a light on, then let's do some training, son. You sit in a chair and say, all right, son, go get up and turn the light off. All right, go back and sit down. All right, go turn it back on again. All right, sit down. All right, son, go turn it off again. All right, go sit down. All right, go turn it on again. Now sit down. All right, go turn it off. Okay, sit down. You get the idea? Guess what that is? Training. Next time they leave the room and the light's on, guess what's going to click in their mind? Oh, I got to turn that light off or my dad's going to make me do more training, okay? We've done that dozens of times. We have fun with it, but guess what? It puts it in their mind. Here's what that does. Training digs that row deeper in their mind. Let me explain. If you have a garden, you take a hoe and you're making a row to plant something. If you drag the hoe down the row one time, it goes a little bit deep. Drag it again, it gets deeper. Drag it again, it gets deeper. Drag it again, it gets deeper. The more you drag the hoe down that road, the deeper the row goes, so you can plant in it. That's what you're doing in the mind of your child. Every time you do training, you're taking that row and making it deeper, furrowing it in their mind where it will last for them for the rest of their life. There are some things that we had in childhood and military and college, that people that just did things over and over and over. And what it does is it creates that training and that furrow in your brain that you will never forget that. Okay? That's the training. Yes, teach them. Yes, discipline them. We'll talk about that. But make sure you don't forget the training. That is what they will never go back on. All right, so day number 2, foolishness is in the child. Okay, you got to get it out. Proverbs 22:15, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. It is amazing how much foolishness is there. I remember as a kid doing something and my dad going, son, why'd you do that? Dad, I don't know. Son, why'd you do that? I don't know. I still remember as a kid thanking God for the words he created, I don't know, because if there hadn't been the words, I don't know, I would not have known what to say. Why do kids do those stupid things? How come? Because it's foolishness. It's bound in their heart, and the rod of correction shall drive it far from them. Okay? Don't keep asking kids why they do stupid things. You know why. They're foolishness. It's bound in there, and it's your job as a parent to drive it far from them with loving biblical discipline. So if you do not have the lesson on loving biblical discipline, email me, ask Pastor Baker. I'll send it to you. Very important, 14 steps on how to lovingly, biblically discipline a child. So important. I've given it away before, but most parents do not do that. It used to be during a commercial, well, you just wait, you're getting it. Now the commercial, bam, 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 come back. Boy, do kids get how much we love them, how important it is to make them to do right? Or do they see, yeah, don't interrupt my TV show or you're going to get it, because that's more important, okay? Big deal what it teaches. So lovingly, biblically discipline your child. When it's done right, they will want to come to you with love and restore that relationship. Do that. All right, day 3. Children need correction, and it won't kill them. Proverbs 22:13, withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. He uses that phrase again. You're not talking about taking a club and hitting him over the head with it. God gave a place on a child to discipline them where there's no vital organs. You're not going to hurt anything, but there are a lot of nerve endings there. God did that for a reason and for a purpose. And God said, if you spank them with the rod, they're not going to die. Okay? Another place God said, let not a soul spare for their crying. Just because they're crying, you don't stop. You discipline them lovingly, biblically discipline them to make sure they understand that. They need it. It's important. Another place God says that you'll save them with that. Why? If you take a child and they never get disciplined for anything, and now you tell them, look, because you lied, you're going to go to hell. No, they don't believe that. But if they've been disciplined all the time growing up in their life for the things they did wrong, now you explain to them about hell, yes, they accept that. It's a big deal. Okay, day 4. Spankings and teaching give wisdom, but don't leave a child alone. Proverbs 29:15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. So we have a rod and reproof, okay? We have discipline and teaching. We need both of those. Some people just discipline, some just teach, some just yell, okay? Never the yelling. You don't want that. But the rod and reproof give wisdom. You need both of them. But do not leave the child to himself. It's amazing. So many of the child-rearing principles we use, and I call them just manipulation, to get them to do what we want. They may do what you want, but you're not changing their heart. God said the chastening yieldeth the peaceful fruit of righteousness. The discipline does. Not time out, not go to your room, not here, go stand in a corner. Those are not the things that are going to yield the peaceful fruit of righteousness. They may obey you to get out of time out. They may obey you to get out of the corner. They may obey you to get their cell phone back, okay? But you didn't change their heart. And now they're just mad. Now they're bitter. Now they're angry. Now they're upset because we didn't lovingly, biblically discipline. The rod and reproof give wisdom. All right, day 5. If you bring up a child delicately, if you bring up a servant delicately, he'll become a son. I love this verse. Proverbs 29:21. He that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child shall have him become his son at the length. It's amazing how you can take someone that's just a servant, someone that's not blood relative, but treat them kindly, delicately, sweetly, gently, and they'll become a son. How many times have you heard the phrase, boy, like a son to me, like a father to me? So with our own children, make sure we bring them up delicately. So many times we're hard and mean and cruel to our kids, and they can feel that and sense that, and they don't believe that they're wanted. I'm amazed how many times people told us, how do you do that with 11 children? We have 2, and I can't stand it. And the child feels that. The mom and dad don't like them, and they're mad at them and mean to them. Twice, 2 Samuel 22:36 and Psalm 18:35. David said it twice to God, God, thy gentleness hath made me great. Thy gentleness hath made me great. David was a great man. How come? Because God brought him up delicately. Gently is how God dealt with him. Your child did wrong, yes. You need to discipline them. You need to teach them. But you can do it gently and kindly and lovingly and respectfully. And that will mean so much to a child. You will build that relationship. He'll become a son. Oh boy, but a lifelong son that loves you and cares about you. So big. And day number 6, even a child is known by what he does. Proverbs 20:11, even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. Hey, how many times have we said it or seen it about kids? Man, that kid's a brat. Man, that kid's mean. That kid's this or that. Even a child is known by his doings. Teach your children, son, they're going to know you. They're going to know about what you do, where you go, how you handle things, how respectful and kind and hardworking you are. Good or bad, they're going to know you. And day 7, if you raise a wise child, okay, yeah, you are the wild child. If you raise a wise child, you will have great joy. There's a reward for teaching and training and disciplining and loving our children, and it's greatly rejoicing. Proverbs 23:24. The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he that begetteth a wise child shall have joy of him. Proverbs 31:28, her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. One of the biggest blessings of life is watching our children rear our grandchildren, teaching them the things that we taught them. Having our grandchildren grow up the right way, knowing we taught our children the right way, what a great joy that is. We have 7 grandchildren so far, and it's so much fun to see them, love them, and discipline them, and teach them, and train them, and to see our kids come back and go, wow, I had no idea. Were we that stubborn? Yes. Did we keep doing the same thing over and over, even though we kept getting in trouble? Yes. It's amazing how that's bound in there. And so, yeah, there's a great reward for teaching and training your children to have a wise child. They'll bring you so much joy and rejoicing and praise for the rest of your life. It is worth it to take the time to teach and you train your children the right way. Teach your children about Childrearing so they understand why we're doing what we're doing, and so they know how to train their children. Our kids, we talk about Childrearing all the time. What's right, what's wrong, what to do, what not to do. If they see it being done the wrong way, they'll say, boy, we would never be allowed to do that. And we're so glad, boy, that kid needed a spanking. And we'll talk about that a lot because that is putting them in the role of being a parent one day and understanding how to train their children. Many times with my kids, I've asked them, okay, let's flip this. Let's say you're the parent. What do you do? What? Let's say you're in charge. You're the parent. I'm the child. I just did this. What would you do? Well, I would have to spank you. Exactly. Teach them, because they're going to be in that role, as we know, way before we realize it. They'll be in that role. Let's make sure we're teaching and training them the right way. All right. God bless you.